Good morning, guys. Today I'm going to walk you through the procedure for using the Gizmo Lab minerals. I'm going to start with this in Google Classroom in the assignment called Gizmo Lab Mineral Identification. Following the steps of the login here, log into Gizmo explorelearning.com, which is this tab here. Then we need to open the Lab Guide Mineral Identification, which is this document here. The other ones down here is a copy of the mineral identification key, and then the video that I am producing right now. So I'm going to start by opening my Gizmo and logging in. So then we come into here, we go log in. You're going to choose the mineral identification. And then click on the Gizmo Lab, and this is the lab itself. Back to Google Classroom, we're now going to open up our mineral guide, which looks like this. And so the mineral guide for the lab is divided into activities. So each activity will be in this blue box. It'll tell you what you need to do at Gizmo, what question we're answering, and then in this case, the procedure and questions and boxes to fill in are below. And so first we're going to choose property to test, and we're going to select density. So we go to our Gizmo Lab, and up here you'll see choose property to test, and we're going to select density. Here is our mineral. You can see it says sample A. We can choose other samples, but we are going to work with A. And so what it's asking us to do is to first find the mass and then find the volume. So we can pick up our mineral and move it around. So down here on the scale is our mass. So we put it on there and we get a measurement of 36.4. We can put that in the box. And that's grams. Now we're going to take it and find its volume. How much space does it take up? We drop it in the cylinder. It tells you right here, it says 14 milliliters. We'll record that here. Milliliters. Now, the next part here, number 3, is to find the density. And density is how heavy or light an object is. It's based on its mass divided by its volume. So I Google searched a calculator, and so I'll do 36.4 divided by 14, which was its volume, giving me an answer of 2.6. So our density is 2.6 grams per milliliter. So now we have our density for sample A. We're going to move on to part B now, which is we're going to find the properties of sample A. We're going to Gizmo, and we're going to go under properties, and we're going to select each of these different properties to test sample A, make sure sample A, and then we're going to record it here. So we're going to start with crystal shape and luster. So we go to appearance. We can just go in order. We have our sample A. Now over here is our crystal forms. You see there's 6 crystal shapes. So you're going to take this and say which one does it most resemble. I think it most resembles the pyramid, looking at the top of it. So in my page under here, I would write pyramid. Now I'm going to look at luster, how it reflects light. So does it look more like metal, more like glass, pearl, or dull? I would choose glassy. So on my sheet here, I'm going to write glassy. Now we're going to color. So when I look at my mineral, what color do I think? I think it's kind of a white or clear or no color. So you could put either. Now density we already found. That was up in part A. So our density is 2.6 grams per milliliter. Now let's go on. So now we've done appearance, density, hardness. Hardness is a test of whether or not a mineral can be scratched or can scratch another. So what we're going to do is see if it can scratch. If it scratches, that means that it is it is that hard or harder. So we'll just start with thumbnail because that's soft. Doesn't. Penny doesn't. Glass. Okay, glass it does. So it's got to be harder than 5.5. Come down here. So it's got to be harder than 6.5 because it scratches that also. So in our table, we would put 6.5 or greater. So we know it's at least 6.5. It's pretty hard. Next, we're going to move on to the next one, which is streak. Streak is to see what color powder it produces. Now, if we go over here, we see we get no streak. So on our form, we'd say, we can say no streak or clear, up to you. Going back to our test, our next one is, this is a special one. Does it fizz with acid? So using the eyedropper, we can lift it off. We go over, drop some on it. If it fizzes, it'll start to bubble, but it did nothing. So our answer is no. We've now completed activity B. We now have all the properties of our sample A. We've recorded in our data table. Down here is just the definitions for each of those, what you're testing, and what it would look like. Activity C, identifying the sample. So for identifying the sample, we need to go back. We're going to be using these identification keys. So if we go back to Google Classroom, I have these identification keys here. All right, so the first thing we need to do using the keys is decide what kind of a mineral is it? Is it metallic or non-metallic? So when we look at it, we're going to say, is it non-metallic, means it sparkles like metal? Is it metallic, looks like metal? Or non-metallic, which means it sparkles more like glass? So we go down here, and our first set are these metallic, appears to be metallic colored or looks like metal. These next two tables are non-metallic, so does it look glassy, pearly? This one says, is it dark colored? This one is light colored. So we're going to be using one of these three tables. So we're going to go back to our data here. We said it was a glassy luster. So we know that it's one of those, and we had a color of light or clear. So looking at our key, we said, no, it's not metallic. We said it's not metallic. It doesn't look like metal. It looks glassy, and it's light colored. So it's got to be in this table, okay? So then what we're going to do is we're going to look at our properties here. We're going to see if any of them line up or which ones line up the most. So we're down to density, hardness, and streak. These are our three that we want to look at. So we go back to our table, and we say, all right, which one has about that same density? We said it was 2.6, so we have one here that is 2.6. Do we have another one? We have another one that's 2.6. And we have another one that's 2.6. I think that's all our 2.6s. So we now have to then decide, based on our crystal shape, our hardness, and our streak, which one it is. So it's one of these three. I'm going to leave that part up to you. And for that part, what you're going to do is make your guess. So if I make my guess, I'm going to go to the indicator. You're going to type your guess in here, and you're going to hit submit, and it will tell you if you're right or wrong. And so what you're going to do then is write your first guess here and test it. If you're not right, look at the other ones that are available, write that one here, see which one, and then just answer how right you were. So that is what it's going to take for testing your samples. Then once you're going to do that is then you're in your lab groups are going to then go and repeat those tests for those properties of B through F. If you complete that, you get a 4. If you go through and guess B through F, then you can get a 6. If you want to go above and beyond, go ahead and test additional minerals beyond that mineral F. There's a bunch more. That is what we're going to do for the lab today.